So, my friends, it's TMX once again. Today, I want to talk to you about PSA versus CGC. Now, everyone knows that PSA is king for cards as far as getting the maximum value, and CGC is the king of comics as far as grading and getting maximum value when reselling. With PSA coming into the comic book market, people are like, well, what's going to happen? Is it going to be PSA that takes over, or is it going to be CGC holding down still? Now, both have brand loyalty, especially in their respective realms. PSA, everyone who is a PSA fan is a PSA fan for life, and CGC, it's the same way. People just swear on those two brands for the respective genres. Now, if you don't know the history, CBCS, which does comics, is also Beckett, owned by Beckett, who does cards. Beckett was the number one in cards at one point and was never number one in comics, despite them really coming up with the whole grading scheme as far as the modern way of looking at it in comic books and in cards, really. So, but they never tried to shoot. It's seemingly they never tried to shoot for number one. PSA is looking to try to shoot for number one. Well, how's it going to look? How's it going to look? I'll tell you right now. For me, it's looking like CGC is winning already off the bat. Now, if you look at the slabs themselves, PSA slabs are fantastic. They're a little bit tougher, they're a little bit more rigid, they're a little heavier, but they protect as well, if not better, than CGC slabs. CGC slabs, they've come a long way. They're a lot better now. They are ones that I swear upon because I can drop them now and they don't crack like they used to or split open or anything like that. They're a lot more durable and they're sealed better. They come a long way in the past year or so. So you have the slabs are probably about even. You have the labels. People swear on the new CGC labels. They're not the really behind the PSA labels, even though the PSA labels are true to the brand. I don't have a problem with either label. The only thing I have is the text is not centered. That drives me nuts on the PSA. But I don't think that's a determining factor. I think what it really comes down to is pricing. And one other thing that I'll share at the end. So pricing right off the bat. So CGC is about $25. There's different tiers, and the highest tier you can get it like $20. For PSA's introductory price, which is lower than what the standard price would be, it's $30. It's $30 per comic, and you know PSA has all their fees that are tacked on to things, and it's $40 standard. $40 will be after the introductory price goes away. $40 for a comic is wild. You're gonna need to really put heavy duty books in there. Same way with cards. You know, I get a lot of my stuff done in CGC because I don't have a lot of high end cards. If I had a high end card that was worth thousands of dollars, I would get that done in PSA. I think that's might be how some people are going to look at these because of the grading, the changes in grading and that, and I'll save that for the end. But I think that really, when you look at it, price wise, you have the bulk specials with CGC. You can get it down a lot cheaper. I'm thinking that the price range on those is really going to price out a lot of the fans, people that are potential customers that would be for PSA. So I think that's the biggest thing. The second thing I don't think a lot of people understand because they don't do this every day. They don't have, like I have a company that specializes in cleaning and pressing and sending books to get graded. The big thing is the graders. We don't know who the graders are for PSA. They haven't come out and said, hey, we got this team of graders. They're top notch. We've taken them from all across the world. They've worked in different parts of the industry. We don't know anything about the graders. We don't know if they have the decades of graders notes that CGC has. And why is that important? I'll tell you this. For example, Amazing Spider-Man 361 is the first appearance of Carnage. There is a manufacturer's error on almost every one of those. There's like a pull, there's a little cut, a slit on the cover of those. And CGC does not grade against that because it is a manufacturer error. I know that because I've collected and pressed and cleaned a bunch of them. I have 9.8s in those that have that slit in there. CGC knows it because they've graded thousands, literally probably like hundreds of thousands, maybe a million of them. PSA has not graded a million of those. I don't know if the graders who are grading those comics are going to grade them like cards. And if you know anything about cards, the cards are graded against manufacturer error, even though there's a print line in it that is a manufacturer error or it's not centered because it was manufactured that way. It still counts against the grade. Comics are not like that. Now you might get a green label if it was made without manufactured without the staples, or is manufactured with the cover diagonal. I have a book that's like that. The cover was manufactured diagonally on that. And it's cut weird. It's amazing. It's just I don't know how that got through quality control, but that got a green label. They do count certain things against it if it's egregious. But most other manufacturer errors, like whitening on the sides, or spatter like overspray of ink, those things don't count against the grade. Are PSA graders aware of that? Are they seasoned enough to know these things? Who are their trainers? Who are like? There's too many questions on that. I would have to give it a lot of time before I would send something to PSA because of those reasons. It's the same thing when people were sending cards to GameStop for PSA. They were sending them out, and the first couple batches weren't coming back the greatest. They were being mangled in shipping because you have people who are being paid, minimum wage to run. It's not skilled labor. They're not specialized in this. They're people off the street who come to do a standard job, and they aren't aware of the intricacies of the hobby. It's just a job for them. So they're not wrapping the cards up correctly. They're not putting them in semi-rigids. They were just throwing them in boxes the way that they would ship a video game, because that's what they're specialized in, shipping collectibles and video games. So a lot of the stuff coming to PSA was damaged. Not to say that PSA is going to damage comics, but I'm just saying because of not having the experience that CGC has on certain things, there's going to be growing pains in that area. So I would be very hesitant coming off the gate sending stuff to PSA, and I would especially be leery of sending them comics and stuff when I don't know who's grading them and how are they grading them and what are their standards and a slew of variables that happen. I have to go with what I know. And I get things graded by CBCS because I trust them as a company. They have longer tenure than CGC, and I'll get stuff that I know that I'm not going to resell with CBCS. If they're doing a special, they're doing a signing, or I trust them. I trust CGC to a certain extent when within the errors of human error, basically. I trust CGC to be able to give me what I expect from them in grading and encapsulating. I don't know what to expect when you have a company that is used to doing a certain thing, flipping it and changing it on it. It's the growing pains are a variable where I cannot, as a small company, take that risk. And I think a lot of people aren't going to take that risk out the gate. 10 years down the line, of course, they're going to have that structure there. And then, maybe the prices will be more competitive. But I think it's a good thing that PSA is in the realm because they will compete with pricing. They will compete in the same, there's options. The options in the field of collectibles, in the genre, in the hobby are great. It's great for the hobby. It's great for the companies. But again, we got to go with what we know. That's all I got for y'all. Be good, be cool, and be nice to each other.